two boys back at it again with another long, hard one.
We watched the classic 1960, early 1960s, Blood Feast.
Getting better at it.
I didn't realize we were trying to do that. Anyway, this is a classic movie by the greatest director of all time, Herschel Gordon Lewis. I don't know if this was his first movie. I think it might have been. People call him the godfather of gore because he was like doing all these super bloody movies before like everyone else and was like one of the first people to popularize it. And this was the first one that he did. And there's your context. And what did Jered think of it?
I liked it. I thought it was a good movie.
But did you really?
Yeah, I did. What?
Nothing. I mean, the problem with Herschel Gordon Lewis movies is that all of them kind of put me to sleep.
Well, I mean, it's got the 60s B-movie vibe and kind of just...
Well, it's not even that. I don't know what it is about his movies, even the ones that came later, like in like the 70s. It's just, I don't know. They're like, everything is there for me to like it. But I just... I'm not.
So you don't like it?
I'm not fully on board. I don't not like it.
I
but
thought
I'm not completely on board. There's nothing I can point to and say I don't like this. But the thing as a whole it's okay.
I mean, like, I'm not saying it's the greatest movie in the world because it definitely ain't. But like, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, and I would watch it again.
I think in my opinion, his best movie is 2000 Maniacs. I don't know, all of his movies, besides that one, kind of that one, but more so his other movies, slapped together, shoddily made with $5 feel to them.
I mean...
And there's nothing wrong with that. I like that.
I think it gives it a certain style, and I do like that.
I don't know. His movies just don't quite do it for me. But I know...
That's fair enough.
Well, some people, I don't know. He's kind of like that. People either like totally on board or kind of like me.
I'm not saying like there isn't, like, I think it was a little slow at parts, and I was like, when's this gonna wrap up? Like,
well, the main problem with his movies is that okay, I've said that like twice now, but the main problem is the scenes with like the violence are good, and there's some funny moments with the acting, but for the most part, his movies are just like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that, actually.
Just make me pass out.
Yeah, the gore is actually really cool. Like the scene where the girl's tongue gets ripped out. Like, I really like that scene because like even that like made me like wince a bit, like, ooh, like, ugh, because like you saw like the stuff just falling out of her mouth and like
imagine how people
little chunks, and I'm like, ooh.
Imagine how people reacted back when this first came out, because movies just didn't have this. Real trendsetter. I mean, you could make the argument there's some Italian movies that also are like this, like old Mario Bava movies, but I mean, this is American movies made by Americans. Am I right?
You're goddamn right. I'm assuming that's what you were setting up for.
I was. I don't know.
I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was a nice movie I'd kind of just put it on in the background, really, if I'm like doing something. Just
I don't think I've ever
background, go in and out of it.
I don't think I've ever fully watched this movie without like checking my phone or kind of like looking around, getting distracted.
Well, I mean, I definitely did that too.
I don't know. It's a perfectly acceptable movie, and I can see why a lot of people like it a lot.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
But that's a lot. That's pretty much my review of all of his movies. Besides 2000 Maniacs, which we should do eventually, because that's the only one of his movies I would consider to be genuinely good.
Well, I mean, I know nothing
about Blood Feast. Blood Feast. So the gore is good.
The acting is not.
The acting is not. Gave us one of the all-time classic lines of... looks like this is going to be one of those long, hard ones. The guy that played the killer, the guy with the clearly guy in his 20s with powder in his hair, is a bit too extra.
A little too extra, yeah.
Like, any chance he can get is like, this feast hasn't been prepared for
5,000 years.
I thought it was like, I don't know, like every time he adds another 1,000 years for 20,000 years.
He is just At the end, like when he like starts talking about it again, it's just like, oh my god, like this again, because you know he's going to be like, actually, like,
This isn't even really, it's vaguely related to the movie, but the aesthetic of the 60s is not as appealing to me as other decades' aesthetics,
I,
in my
I,
opinion.
I mean, as much as I kind of hate this aesthetic trend and whatnot, yeah, I'd have to agree that like later decades are a lot better than the '60s, looking wise, because the '60s is just, I don't know.
It's very bland looking. Like
Oh yeah.
a lot of the scenes in this movie are just like really like colors that don't pop. Like you look at it, it's like oh,
Yeah.
you know, like the dresses that the ladies wear, are just like really like bland colors. The furniture is just like ugh. It's just like you look at it and like I want to take a nap. As opposed to like I prefer the 70s aesthetic personally. I like that even more. Like I know everybody's all about the 80s and we've been over that, but I prefer the 70s over the 80s in terms of pretty much everything.
I don't know. I don't prefer any real aesthetic. I'm like, I can appreciate aesthetic at times. Like, be like, I think it's really cool, like, looking that they, like, did in the style of this or this or this. Everyone, like, especially with nowadays, it's just like, oh, in everyone's face. Like, you remember the time that you really weren't alive, but, like, everyone's like, it was a glorious time.
I like aesthetics. I'm not like one of those basic.
Well, I'm not gonna say like I don't like aesthetics sometimes. It's just like when you get like all this like, ooh yeah, just give me that 80s aesthetic. Just give me that synth wave and just
Well, the thing
the
is like I'm not talking about like movies that like are trying to like replicate an aesthetic. I like things like movies that are actually from the time period. You know, that actually have the genuine
yeah.
aesthetic,
Yeah,
not
no.
not
I can
being
appreciate that
fake.
obviously.
I don't know, something about the 70s just has a very like nice look to it. Whereas the 60s is just kind of bland and everybody just looks like generic.
Yeah.
Like all the women look like bland Barbie dolls. All of the men are like suits, same hairstyle. Like, oh,
Yeah.
we're gonna solve the problems, and the women are just gonna sit there and
Yeah,
talk about bland topics.
weird underlying message of this movie, women shouldn't read. Because if you read a book on Egyptian, like weird Egyptian rituals, you'll be put on a weird killer's list and prepared for a blood feast.
Well, let me ask you: when has women reading ever solved a problem?
Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
I, I my fucking
Exactly.
god, you're
And
gonna pull this shit on me.
that's checkmate, atheist.
Just because I don't have an example where a woman reading has like made a positive impact. Like, guess you got me.
Hmm.
Women are stupid.
As you know, I am a lawyer on the side. Enjoy being in jail, Jered. In conclusion,
Blood Feast is good.
it puts me to sleep.
It's an alright movie. We recommend if you want to
It's acceptable.
do something else.
If we're talking about 60s movies, you could do worse. But you could do better.
I feel like that's all of our reviews. It's like,
An example,
yeah,
an example. Well, I mean, I guess we should watch more movies that are more definitively like yas or awful.
yeah.
An example in terms of 60s movies, I would say that this is better than Astro Zombies.
Wow. Um, how'd you how'd you come up with that? The fact that I didn't leave at the end,
It's kind of
that I didn't just give up on this movie, like I gave up with Astro Zombies, the only movie I've ever given up on.
we'll do that movie sometime.
No, so you think
I know.
you better bring Joey better be along again this time because I think he was.
Nope, you're just gonna sit there and suffer. It'll be like in a Clockwork Orange. You'll be strapped to a chair with your eyes pried open, screaming. So, Blood Feast. It's okay. It's fine. It's whatever. It's acceptable.
That's all you need to know.
5 out of 10. C. Just a C.